right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is a new venture for me. I've never done a podcast before, but I love Office Ladies, probably is the inspiration for this one because they're best friends, authentically real with each other, and they have fun together. And so, in honor of that, my friend Olivia and I have decided to start a podcast. Words worth keeping, I think, is what we decided on. That might be a work in progress. We decided our goal is to not sell you stuff that doesn't make sense or doesn't work for you, but to just, by being ourselves, by expressing our friendship, just to share important truths. So joining me today is not Olivia. This is my husband of, what are we on, 22 years?
22 years.
This is my husband of 22 years, John Meyer. He is amazing. Obviously, he's got to be pretty cool, or I wouldn't have stuck with him this long. But we, a segue into what we're going to be talking about at the end of our time together, we have mental health as a big part of our, I don't know, what would you call it? Our
Journey.
Journey. It's a big part of our journey. And we're not going to get into all the nitty gritty details today, but just enough. So yeah, we'll just jump right in. I have a set of questions I was going to ask Olivia, but she's just going to have to answer them when she's on next time. So John, your very first question is, what was your first impression of me?
Well, the
After
first 22
years, can you still remember?
Yeah. Yeah. My first impression of you is you came to me as a patient. You were a camp counselor and I was the nurse. And the way I remember it, the first time you saw me, your eyes beamed and you're like, wow. Actually, that wasn't true. The first time you saw me, your eyes beamed like, who the hell is this person? Because I'm like a huge guy nurse. And the first time I met you, I told you needed your tonsils out because you were sick.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Truth spoken that day.
Yeah. And so that was the first time I saw you.
Yeah, honestly, my first impression of John, for the rest of you who don't know, is that I went to this. This was when I was an adult, so I was a counselor as an adult for 1 week. It was a camp for foster kids.
Yeah, we always have to say that. We should always say that.
Right,
like we were both adults.
Right, we were consenting adults in this situation. But so I went into the week just knowing I was it's only a week commitment, but I just got sick in the middle of the week with a sore throat, which was really common for me. I got a lot of sore throats when I was a young kid and up until I got my tonsils out. So the week that we trained, the weekend we trained before the camp actually started, there was a nurse there, but it was not John. It was a gal. She was kind of small and petite. I think she was a brunette even, maybe. So I stride into this nurse's station fully expecting that it's going to be this young brunette nurse. And here it is, Miss Big bear John waiting there. And honestly, my first impression of you was a good one. I wasn't, I was a little intimidated maybe by your size, but I wasn't, everything else. I was just, you asked good questions. And the fact that you told me I needed to have my tonsils, that was actually a good thing because it got my brain going of, he might be right about that. So and you just took good care of me that day. You gave me Tylenol, and I remember you helped me find another counselor to watch the two girls who were my campers. So it was a good first impression for sure.
That's kind of the story of our marriage, right?
What's that?
John's probably right.
Nice. You will hear some BS during this one, not because of me, but because of this other guy on with me. All right, second question. When was the moment you realized ours was, well, with Olivia, I was going to say friendship worth keeping, but with you, it has to be, I guess, a relationship worth keeping.
We were dating and it took a lot to date you. I always joke about this. I was on the lockstep program every couple weeks. I was able, I started a block away and then, at the end of her drive and then, pretty much I could pick her up at her door. But there, we had been dating for a while. And I remember there was a time where we were maybe going to break up a couple of times. And There's one time in
That was not
particular,
my fault. That was your fault.
probably. And there was one time though that you came over to my house, kind of unexpectedly, and I was sitting on my front porch, and you came up and you kissed me.
Our first kiss, right?
No, we had kissed before.
Oh,
but this was a very like a passionate kiss.
Ooh, passion.
I know.
Imagine that. What is that? What did they say that is?
Well, that was like 21 and a half years ago.
Right.
But no, it then I was like, yeah. But I thought that we could definitely make it.
Yeah, I would say I remember that. I remember that moment actually. And I was surprised to hear you say that you were thinking about breaking up with me at that point. But the thing John never says is that I was really not really in the dating mode for quite a number of years. And I did it on purpose. I dated a guy who was a musician, complete jerk, broke my heart. And so I just decided to stop dating because I was like, I just don't want my heart to be out there for just any Joe Schmo, to try to win me over or whatever. So, and plus I thought this is a great opportunity for me to build my own life. Like what's important to me? What do I value? What do I want to be known for? So I kind of thought of it as building, like growing my own garden, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so John often jokes that I was desperate by the time I got to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to hear me, those of you who are listening, that I was not desperate. I had guys ask me out. I had guys approach me, and I'm the one who then put up the hand and said, nope. In fact, I got made fun of too, a little bit by a PE teacher in specific who shall remain nameless. And it's not who you're thinking of. It's not who you're thinking of. It's the one before him. And he was like, I don't know. He's just a jerk about it because he's like, who doesn't date, when you're that age and whatever.
Well, you really weren't my type either.
Well,
you weren't my type, and I wasn't
not.
your type.
I would say that you weren't my type necessarily, but the fact of the matter is I wasn't looking for like being swept off my feet by some male model, like I was looking for
But you were.
I was looking for the depth of the person that you were, like who you are, and that part lasts. So BS from that guy.
I thought it was my amazingly good looks that swept you away.
I mean, you were young and debonair, but you weren't my type per se when it comes to like looks. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's more important? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. All right, you ready for the next question?
Yes.
Now this has to be like kind of a recent revelation. What surprises you about me? What surprises you about me?
I think that you're adventurous, and you try different things like this podcast. I like the fact that you support us and our family. I really think that what surprises me about you is you can reinvent yourself a lot. And we've obviously had an extremely tough journey, and we're survivors. We keep moving forward. We deal with things together as a couple. And so I think what surprises me is just the amount that we can go through and we can still laugh.
Oh yeah, humor has played a huge role in our marriage, like huge. I always call that pivoting. When something doesn't, like you're playing basketball. I know you're not a basketball player, but where you've got the ball and you have to pivot, you stick your one foot down and you're moving around trying to find another play you can make. So I think that's a good way to describe what we've had to do with a lot of the curveballs that have been sent our way.
Right.
For you, I was really surprised when you told me that you wanted to get your doctorate. I didn't see that coming. And I guess I never saw you in the role of a teacher. And now that I do see you in the role of a teacher, I'm like, wow, he's really good at this and very well liked and has a lot of, you just bring a lot to the table when it comes to that. Cause you have your bachelor's in nursing, you have your master's in business, and then now you have your doctorate in educational leadership. And, I think it's really cool how you've been able to incorporate so many of your experiences into this new role of being a professor, Dr. Meyer, which I do not call him that at home.
She calls me president. I was really proud of you though when you got your master's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think that it's really great to see the people that you love succeed.
Yeah, for sure. And I was not going to do that. I mean, you were a catalyst in that. I was not going to get my master's in it. So.
And people that know me know that I was never going to go to college. So
yeah,
you helped me with that.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely have had each other's backs in those important decisions, and that's been really huge. So, okay, so this doesn't fit us necessarily, but why not? Because then we're going to lead a little bit into mental health. What's your goal for this podcast? So for today, for our time together, what's your goal?
I just wanted to come out nice, and so you can have some learnings on how you might want to do it differently, or things that you might want to do. So I'm your guinea pig.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Yeah, always.
My guinea pig. I mean, if your hair was a little longer, I'd probably practice braiding your hair.
Probably. What about you?
My goal for the podcast is to have fun. Like I said, I really looked up to the office ladies, Jenna and Angela, and what they did with theirs. So to have fun is kind of my most important goal. But, mental health is a huge topic in our lives, in my life specifically. It's something that I don't hide from, because I just feel if we hide it, we're giving it power. So also to get some good teachings maybe out there about mental health, and some statistics out there, some ideas out there, resources, all of that is really important to me. So okay, so why mental health? You want to go first? You want me to?
Why mental health?
Why are we talking about it on the podcast today?
Yeah, you go ahead.
So I have a diagnosis of bipolar 1. I have been hospitalized twice, being in a psychotic state, which is a really frightening place to be. But I was taking such good care of where I was. I got put on medications that have helped a ton. But, mental health is a daily burden that I bear. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. But this past time that I was hospitalized, what was it, about 2 years? Was it 2 years ago now, or
2 years ago in April?
2 years in April. So this last time I kind of fought back a little bit. Like the first time I just took my diagnosis and was like, I still tried to I still taught, I still raised kids. I still, John and I, our relationship continued on. But the second time I fought back a little bit more, because I wanted an even more stable life than what I had previously experienced. So I found some resources while I was there. One of the ones that really has helped a lot talked about intrusive chatter. That idea of not every thought, feeling, and idea that I have is my own. And I, not having had that power of that knowledge, I struggled more probably than I should have. So that's one reason I like to share kind of what I've been through, and then hopefully other people can gather and garner things from it. And then the second reason is we have lost our son to suicide, and has that been 2 years in November?
In October.
Yep, 2 years in October. We lost him when he was 17. And we were doing all the things right as parents. We loved him deeply. We were there to support him. He knew all of that. But he was just in a really bad place. And so, yeah, I want to make connections. I want people to know we've been through it and we're still learning to recover. Our daughter is going to be a senior this year, and she's doing really well. We're grateful for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a call to action. there's so many things in mental health that are kind of screwed up in the treatment, in the, how families can interact with family members who are diagnosed. Again, living with somebody with bipolar is challenging, and seeing your loved one hospitalized is very tough. Your first hospitalization, we were only married for 9 months. And so, we didn't have any kids at that time. And the next one, of course, was a couple years ago after our kids were teenagers. But I would say that, there's not a lot of parity in care in mental health, meaning I can get into an urgent care or doctor right away if I have a broken bone or a scrape. But when it comes to mental health, it's just a very complex system.
Yeah.
And so not only talking to you like this, but getting out and talking about our story, I think is really important because people remember it. And losing Jack was extremely tragic. And I think that we both suffer through grief every day, and it's different. Grief is always different, but just having that along with the bipolar this last couple years has been, very traumatic at times.
Yeah, and that can kind of lead us into the next question, which is, which major changes are needed in the healthcare narrative? And you can approach it maybe more from a hospital stance, and I can approach it more from just a person who struggles with it, who lives with it every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I say that, healthcare right now there's some amazing people that work in mental health and behavioral health, just amazing. But I would say that it's a very complex system, and a lot of people that need help aren't getting it. There's money that's in it, but sometimes it doesn't make its way to where it's needed the most. For our son, one of the examples I always give is there isn't a safe place always for somebody who's having suicidal ideations or self-harm. Those are kind of key words when they're said. It's go to the ER, got to go to the ER, go to the ER. And as you know, there's really nothing in the ER for kids. It feels very punitive. So that, just using that as an example of just trying to get out there and say, okay, but how could we open up more options, more availability for people to discuss that? The other side of it too is just being a spouse and having somebody hospitalized. It's very helpless feeling. If you were in a car accident, God forbid, and you're on a ventilator, I would be your power of attorney, or you'd be mine, and you would be the one making all the decisions. But when you're hospitalized in behavioral health, there's just a different set of rules that go along with it. And it's very isolating for people that love you.
Yeah. Well, I think that you have shared, I can't remember where it is or what the service is called, but I think you have shared that there is a response team in some county that goes to the house if there is a mental health emergency.
Yeah.
Is that true?
There is some. We call it the ARCH program, and I don't remember what the acronym is, but yeah, they're supposed to be kind, because when people get into severe mental illness, they usually end up in one of two places: the emergency room or jail.
Right.
And neither one is a great fit. And so if you can intervene early, instead of having more inpatient units, having more outpatient units where you can get access to counselors and psychiatrists and nurse practitioners and medication before you have to have the crisis, it's always so much better. But so some of those crisis teams that go out try to prevent people from ending up in jail or the emergency room, trying to get them the help that they need without having to utilize those systems. And when you think about it, that's what primary care does for everybody else. If you have an ear infection, there's probably 4 or 5 different places you can go before you go to the ER. Now, people do end up in the ER, but you can go to different urgent cares, or you can even do a tele appointment, all these things. But with mental health or behavioral health, it's just a little bit tougher to navigate.
Yeah, and I would say, even this last weekend, we had an experience with it where I was all of a sudden caught in this place where I was having a lot of suicidal ideation and that outer chatter of like, my life's not worth anything. Why am I even here? Why am I even still fighting? And like, we had plans with a couple to go to a movie And for a second, we almost changed everything and decided not to go because I was struggling. But I knew instinctively, what I needed to do was get out of the house because something around me was sending that chatter in. And so when we got on the road and we went up to dinner and, that was good. And then after dinner, we were walking in the theater and I said to you, that chatter is not me. And I said, I know it's not me because as soon as we got out of the house, I was okay. And I think that there's power if people could understand and know that even that suicidal ideation, that's not you. I don't want to end my life. I like my life. Do I get in places sometimes where it's difficult? Yes. But I have no desire to end my own life. And so I don't know. That's one thing I wish would change too, is that we would start to have that discussion of, well, how do you fight that? What if you're being fed a line or words or something that makes you feel like you want to end your life, or that you're spiraling down into this place of depression? Because I had to discover that on my own. And I feel like that's something that just needs to become more common knowledge. Because well, what if that team is coming out to the house and they're feeding that kiddo or whoever it is some knowledge of, hey, look, this isn't you. What are your real thoughts at this moment? And I don't know. It really bothers me that nobody taught me these things when I'd been diagnosed for 20 years. I mean, I should have caught it somewhere along the way. Somebody should have helped. You know what I mean?
Yep. So
Okay.
what about you? Did you
What's
answer
that?
the question? Did you answer the question? I can't remember.
Major changes needed. Well, I think we just need to be educated more, those of us
Okay.
who have a diagnosis. And, after I was diagnosed and I went to an outpatient thing for 2 weeks, those people are remarkably kind, like just good people. And it pisses me off that this man that is a genius was stuck in his apartment because the anxiety was so overwhelming, he didn't know how to leave that space. I get angry when I feel like I don't think we're given the tools we need as patients. Because if you're given the tools and you know how to manage your disease, like a diabetic manages their disease, or somebody who has heart problems manages their disease, like there's power in that. And you don't feel like that broken thing. That was my thing too. I always felt broken after the first time I was hospitalized, and I fought it, but it was still really tough. And I think if we empower people who have the diagnoses to have some of these tools and strategies, you take your life back. You take the power back. You become the narrator of your own story instead of all of this outward stuff trying to get to you. So yeah. So anyway, and I'll share one last thing about Jack, and then we'll wrap up here. But I still remember the first night he was pretty close to ending his life, and he came back to us and he sat in our room. I still remember our kiddo just batting things away as if they were trying to get him to think and say and do things that weren't him. He was fighting in that moment because he knew. So I don't know if there's anything I hope from this specific episode is educate yourself. Empower yourself. You do not have to fly away to be okay.
You're not alone.
And you're not alone.
Right.
And you can learn to float instead of fly. And that'll be another thing someday. But yeah.
And there's some amazing people, Olivia being, one of them. But there's some amazing people that work in behavioral health, and behavioral health and mental health is really scary. Especially for patients, when nobody wants a hospitalization. Even when I had back surgery,
nobody wants a diagnosis. I mean,
nobody wants a diagnosis. No, but when you have one and you don't have a choice, there is some amazing people that work in mental health. There just is.
Right.
Some of the best.
And I think the power in having a disease like this is you isolate yourself. You don't talk. You don't tell people. You don't show people. But I'm telling you what, that's giving it power right there. If you're hiding it, you're giving it power.
Right.
And your chances of surviving are that much less.
Yeah.
And I've learned that with you, if I'm in a pretty dark place, I just tell you. I mean, I told you last week and that I was having these intrusive thoughts. Like, it doesn't do me any good to not go to you, who is, you're my person, and tell you what I'm struggling with. So,
Right.
All right. Well, we as a couple, well, when I was young, I used to watch 60 Minutes every single week with my dad. And so we've, as a couple, have often talked about how we miss Andy Rooney.
His eyebrows.
What's that?
His eyebrows.
Especially his eyebrows. That's funny. So we're going to wrap up with an Andy Rooney type wisdom. It can be silly. It can be whatever. It can be, and we won't be nearly as sexy as Andy was, but we'll try. You get to go first.
You thought Andy was sexy?
Okay, do you not know that that is me being sarcastic?
I hope so.
How long have I been married to you?
I can't grow my eyebrows that long. I think the wise thing, let me see, what can I come up wisely?
Now remember, sometimes his wisdom was silliness, so.
I know. I think, it's so easy as humans to look at everything that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There could be 1,000 things in front of you that are good and right,
Mm-hmm.
but we focus on what's wrong. And, that was definitely a tactic to survive, evolutionary tactic. But I think, with mental health, there's going to be bad days, but you have to focus on the good ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, that would be my thing. And I'm sorry, that's not silly. And it's not a good joke for me, but I can do that, but most of them probably wouldn't be appropriate. So I'll leave it at that.
That's like the Native American legend, the good wolf and the bad wolf. Which one is going to survive? Which was going to win? It's the one you feed.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I'll just tag on to that. That's what I've had to learn too with my mental health diagnosis is it is way too easy to focus on the negative. But like, if I let the other stuff take over, I have this thing that I do every day now where I wake up and I think, because it's really hard for me to get out of bed, I think happy. I want to be happy today. And then when I hit around noon, I think, yep, I'm approaching that. I'm pretty good. So I'm going to move into happier. I want to be happier today. And then by the end of the day, my goal is to be up in happiest. And honestly, it's really helped because it's funny how it can change your maybe your outlook of how your day is going if you just try to stay stuck in that idea of happy, happier, happiest. So but that wasn't my wisdom.
Oh, what's your wisdom?
Are you ready for it? Okay, men, if you really feel called to this, you should definitely do it. But I'm gonna say right now, as a woman, only so many people can get away with this. I call it the porn stash. If you have nice hair follicles, you can maybe get away with it. But the only one I've ever seen that's been okay has been Tom Selleck. So if you're Tom Selleck-esque with your hair follicles, feel free, knock yourself out. I just remember my dad having one and just being like, and that was in the 80s when like everybody had.
I've always done the goatee.
Yes, you have. Keep it that way. I can see the wheels turning. All right. Have a good week ahead, everybody. Thanks for joining in today.
Thank you.